Good evening, everyone. Welcome, colleagues and residents. This is the virtual meeting of Thetford Town Council this Tuesday, 30th of March. Welcome to you all. Before I go into the public, into the agenda this evening, it is customary that we always have a 15-minute section for questions from members of the public. Joe Cunnell's facilitating the live stream tonight. Joe, are you able to see if we have any members of the public that wish to come forward and ask a question of council? Joe, are you? Fantastic. So we have had some questions come through. Thank you very much, Joe. For members of the public, the chat function Joe refers to is enabling us to pick up questions that members of the public have put in. We have some councillors joining us. They've had difficulties with just joining the meeting, but they're coming in now. So we have a question from, let me just have a look at that. Billy Lawler. I'll just read this out, colleagues. Good evening to all. If it's at all possible, without taking too much time, I would like to issue an invitation to all councillors and Thetford Town Council staff. Is there further dialogue on that, Joe, or does it end there? Fantastic. So
I'm also putting in the chat, Mr. Mayor, that if she wants to, she can send the information to me and I will disseminate it to everybody. So
if Billy's on the live stream at the moment, you can, as you just heard, you can send the information through to our town clerk, Tina, and that'll be distributed out. I hope Billy's not like me, Joe, a one-finger typist. Here you go. So if any councillors would like to visit the CBC and in particular the Burrell shop, so they can see how it's progressed.
You got a bit faster.
If Tina is happy with that, I would love to. It's like instalments of EastEnders, colleagues. I think Billy from memory is the manager of the community supermarket, isn't she?
Yes, it's Billy Joe, and I'll give her a phone tomorrow and see if we can come up with some dates, perhaps.
Yeah, thank you very much. Joe, do we have any other questions in the chat from members of the public? Okay. Well, rather than having a long pregnant pause for members of the public watching tonight, I should actually move into the body of the agenda. And that moves us on to item 886/20. Oh, we just got a thank you from Billy. Declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interest to receive additional interest not already registered. As you know, colleagues, I'm always happy to take those now or to take those as we arrive at an item. So yeah. Has anybody got any disclosable pecuniary interest they wish to declare at this point? Silence is golden. Thank you, colleagues. Item 887/20. So apologies for absence to receive these, and I'm going to hand over to Chris Crimin, who's our minutes secretary. Chris.
Thank you. I've had apologies from Councillor Brain. No other. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've got a full house otherwise.
Thank you.
Is that correct, Chris?
No, that's not correct. I can't tell actually because I can't see who's present while I'm sharing the screen. I'll check it later. Unless you'd like me to call a register now.
No. I've got visions.
Sorry. Because we
visions.
went in.
No,
Because we went in late. It's very difficult.
You're fine. I have visions of being Mr. Chips. I can see. The participants. I can see we haven't got full attendance, but Councillor Brain has kindly passed his apologies. Yes. Okay. So that moves us on to the minutes of our meeting, which we held on the 23rd of February. And I just want to run you through these. I'll take you through page by page, colleagues, if that's okay. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. I won't go through the appendices, colleagues, unless you particularly want me to. I suspect not. Can I move the minutes, please?
Move.
Agreed.
Thank you all.
Move the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you all. That moves us on to item 889/20, which is the committee reports to receive the following committees. And we move over to first committee is the Personnel Committee, and I'm going to hand over to Councillor Crawford, the Vice Chair, in Councillor Braham's absence.
That would be me, I take it.
You would be Councillor Crawford. I'm glad we recognise that.
Okay. I'd like to present the unconfirmed minutes of the personnel meeting. I don't know what the date is because it's not on my screen.
The date of your meeting was the 2nd of March.
2nd of March, it's there now. Thank you very much. Shall we go through page by page? Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. And yep, thank you. I now present the meeting, the minutes of the personnel meeting.
Would you like to move the minutes, Dennis?
I'd like to move, please.
All agree?
Agreed.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
We now move on to the Amenities and Lands Property Committee, and I hand over to Councillor Jeremy, Chair of that committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councillors. I'd like to present the unconfirmed minutes from the Amenities, Land and Properties Committee held on the 3rd of March. You'll be pleased to know there's no recommendations, it's all resolved business. And just as an aside, thank you to whoever managed to pop the minutes for all of the committees on the Town Council website today. So they're all available to members of the public if they want to view them. Thank you very much. Move the minutes.
All in fact, all agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you very much, colleagues. We now move on to the Planning Committee, and I hand over to Councillor Brindle.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to present the minutes of the Planning Committee of the 9th of March, and I'm happy to take you through them page by page. So if we're on the first page now, I can't number it, but page 1 of those minutes. And moving on to the second page as it moves up your screen, are there any proposals to correct the minutes? If not, we'll take them as a true record.
Are you moving the minutes, Mike?
I'm happy to move the minutes as they are, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Thank you. All agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you all. Just make you aware, some colleagues are having 1 or 2 issues with connectivity, and I'll be mindful of that, so I will keep an eye on the screen for that. We now move on to the meeting, the virtual meeting of the VEM committee. This took place on the 10th of March. It's up to myself to present the minutes. So I would take page 1, page 2. On page 3, under item 86620, there is actually a recommendation, and I'll read that to you. The recommendation is that the Venues and Communications Committee assume responsibility for all internal and external maintenance of Town Council venues, including the Upper and Lower Marketplace, from the 1st of April 2021. I'm happy to propose that, colleagues, if I could have a seconder.
I'll second it.
Mr. Mayor.
Lots of us.
I think, Colin, you're as quick as a gunslinger. I'll take you because you're out of the blocks there. Can you put it in the chat whether you agree or you're against or abstaining, please?
Where's chat?
I'm sorry, Mayor, but I can't do chat, so I'm agreeing with it.
Thank you, Dennis. I can see that Councillor Harvey's agreed, Councillor Bretto, Councillor James, Councillor Hodgson, right, Gurney,
Brenda. It's about all of the look of it.
I think we're there, aren't we, Chris?
Yeah, for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's agreed. Thank you, colleagues. And Councillor Hollis as well. Thank you. And page 4. I won't take you through the appendices, colleagues, but can I move the minutes?
Move.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And finally, not least, our Finance Committee over to Councillor James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You'll all be very, very pleased to know that for some reason my microphone works, but my camera doesn't. So lucky you. I beg leave to present the unconfirmed minutes of the Finance Committee held on Tuesday, 23rd of March. There are only 2 recommendations, which are both on page 1, and I propose that we take them en masse. The 2 recommendations are that Thetford Town Council approve the making of the payments A to E, which you will find in Appendix A of your pack, and that under 88020, that the 87920, that Thetford Town Council adopt the income and expenditure reports, which are Appendix B, for the 11 months ended the 31st of January 2021.
And I take it you're going to propose those, Jane?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Councillor Burnett, thank you. All those in favour, please, if you can use the same method as before.
In favour.
Thank you, Dennis. And I can see that Chris, Brenda, Carla, Dave, Stuart, we're all getting dab hands at this. Terry.
I think you find that's a full house, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And Jenny as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have page 1, page 2. Again, I will share. I will not share the misery of the appendices for you. So I beg leave to move the minutes, please. All
agreed?
Agreed.
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 Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you. And that concludes the committee report. I'm going to move us swiftly on to item 890/20, which is the Mayor's remarks and reports. I was going to say sit back and enjoy my dulcet tones, but we all know that's not going to happen. March continued where February left off. My activities dictated by the current guidance and restrictions imposed by the pandemic. And actually, it was only the other evening that with a wry smile, I commented to the Mayoress, I will achieve a first this year, being the only mayor not to have chaired a single meeting in person throughout their term, as all meetings have been delivered by virtual platforms. The Mayoress smartly quipped, I'm sure your colleagues will be grateful for that fact. I'm a considerable user of social media platforms. Some of you might regret that, but it provides a great way to signpost, reach out to our community, showcase avenues of support and points of interest amongst many other aspects. And build on this and working in tandem with our VEM team, David, Joe and Tom, we have delivered videos throughout my term and engaged with events business-wise and nationally. And during March, using this method, we marked 2 events. March the 8th was International Women's Day, an important date. It's something I recognise something we really should commemorate. I think in the video I actually highlighted an example close to my own heart, being a Dagenham lad, the ladies that struck for equal pay. And although great strides have been made, there is still much to do to achieve gender equality. The other was a sobering anniversary. The 23rd of March marked a full year since we first went into lockdown. And the day of reflection saw us reserve 1 minute silence at noon. And at 8 PM I lit a candle for those we have lost, for those NHS workers, carers and our blue light services who have supported us all with very little respite. I would like to conclude my report by giving my best wishes to one of our team. Young Joe Cunnell has been with us now for several years, and during that time he has and is a popular member of the team. But the time has come for Joe to move on, and this summer Joe looks to his future by going to university. And I'm sure all of you will join me in wishing Joe all the best for what he's done for us and as he embarks on his next chapter. And at that point I will conclude and I will open the floor to any comments. Thank you. Does anybody have any comments, questions?
Well done, Joe. Good luck.
Agreed. Absolutely. Yeah. A heartfelt best wishes. Thank you. Nice little message there in the inbox from Joe. It will be missed. I'm now going to move on to 891/20, which is Town Council representatives on the other bodies. Chris, I'm going to ask for your assistance with this because I can't see everybody on the screen. Actually, let me just go through. There we go. I've just got the participants up, so I'm just going to go through. Thank you, Chris. I've just got people up my screen, so I'm just going to go as they appear. The first one.
Sorry, excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Councillor James has put a comment in the.
Oh, sorry, Jane. I do apologise.
Not a problem, Mr. Mayor, as my camera is still not working. Me waving at you would not work. If I may, I'd like to present my reports for the bodies that I'm a town council representative on, please.
Yes, but you was top of my participants list anyway, Jane, so it's good.
That's a disturbing thought. So I represent the town council. I have the privilege of that to represent you guys on the Greater Thetford Partnership, on the Safer Thetford Action Group and on the Thetford Music Project. Unfortunately, on the Thetford Music Project, there is nothing to report further to report at this stage. In terms of the Greater Thetford Partnership, I continue to circulate the Greater Thetford Partnership's managers' monthly updates to all town councillors. I'd like to remind my colleagues that the website is up and running and an interesting source of information and blogs, and the Twitter feed is also beneficial to follow. In terms of the Safer Thetford Action Group, otherwise known as STAG, I attended the meeting held 10th of March, which reflected on the feedback from the open meeting, which was held via Teams on the 11th of February. The outcome of this is that the two main priorities remain, and a third one has been reinstated and is considered mobile. For now, those priorities are youth-related antisocial behaviour and antisocial behaviour caused by street drinking and drug-related activities in the PSPO area. Antisocial behaviour relating to motor vehicles, including quad bikes and mini-moto type vehicles. And the final one, which is the mobile one, is currently the cumulative impact policy, which you'll probably all recall that fellow councillors supported. Crikey, that must nearly be 2 years ago. At the STAG meeting, we also received a police update detailing some of the issues they have been dealing with recently and staffing updates. Concerns were expressed by members of STAG to the police regarding ongoing issues surrounding e-scooters. The Greater Thetford Partnership Manager presented to the group, highlighting his role in engaging with strategic partners and sharing the priorities. The GTP manager is assisting with coordinating the River Corridor project at the moment, and I'm delighted to advise my fellow councillors that the lights along Spring Walk that Roy and myself have lobbied hard to get to reduce the amount of antisocial behaviour in that area and open up our beautiful riverside walks have now been switched on. Following my concerns, consideration has been given to the effect these lights could have on bats and other local wildlife, and I'm delighted that a solution has been achieved that ensures safety is not just achieved for us, but not to the detriment of nature. Litter continues to be a major issue in all its forms, and this was again brought up in Stag, as do the mucky road signs. I would urge my fellow councillors that the next time we hear that the Norfolk County Council Rangers are coming and to have an action day in Thetford, we all work together to get them to clean these up. The next open meeting is scheduled for the 8th of April via Teams, and the next closed meeting will be held on the 14th of April. Unfortunately, I'm unable to attend that, but Councillor Crawford I've already spoken to, and he will be able to attend that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. Mark, I can see you got your hand up. Councillor Taylor. Hi, Mark. Hi, Mark. Mark, did you have your hand up to ask, make a comment on Jane's report?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
No, I just said it's interesting to see the stag priorities never change, and nothing ever gets done about the priorities. It just makes me chuckle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Might I come back on that, Mr. Mayor, because I don't feel that I can let that comment pass. Frankly, whilst the antisocial behaviour caused by street drinking and drug-related activities in the PSPO area has remained a stag priority for quite some time, things have happened. People will recall not last summer, but the summer before, there was a concerted effort by our constabulary to crack down on this, a focused operation, and there were a number of community notices and warnings given out. Most of those were still into effect in the early part of this year, and where possible, because as we'll appreciate, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and the police sometimes have more important things to do than deal with people who are drinking and doing drugs where they shouldn't be. So the police have been dealing with this where operationally they are able to. So I do take issue that he said nothing has changed. Unfortunately, until people change, nothing will.
Well said. Right now. We lost the mayor.
Yes, we seem to have lost the mayor at the moment. So could we move on to? Oh, are you back,
Actually,
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I do apologise. I made that schoolboy error. I muted myself. But Jenny wanted to speak.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, it was just really to say thank you to Councillor James and Brain for getting the lights along Spring Walk, because I've had comments, even though I'm not in that area of town, of how nice they look. Even Brandon are trying to take them up now. They've enjoyed them, I've seen. So I'd like to just say thank you to both to Councillor James and Councillor Brain for their hard work on that one.
Thank you, Jenny. It's definitely making a difference to that area, isn't it?
Definitely.
I'm now going to move on to Brenda.
Yes, the Charles Bowl Museum. Well, I'm sorry to say that I haven't got much to report because we haven't been able to meet in person, and we're just waiting to have a meeting to see when we can actually open up. A lot of work has gone inside. The new manager in there has done a lot of work, so I can't actually wait to get back in there. And that's all from the Charles Bowl Museum, really.
Thank you, Brenda. I'm now going to move on to Jenny.
I'm not on any outside bodies, Mr. Mayor, even though I'm down for one. They're not having substitutes for the Thetford.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Jen. I think it might be the same answer for Carla and Chris. Am I correct? Carla?
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I will remain the same, but like Councillor James mentioned, there's not much updates going on with music project at the moment. So other than that, I'm not in any other bodies. Thank you.
Thank you. Young Chris?
Flat rule will get you nowhere. No, I'm on no outside bodies.
Thank you, Chris. Colin?
I'm on no outside bodies either.
Thank you. Dave?
I'm not on any outside bodies either.
Thank you. Dennis?
Yeah, I'm on the Charlesborough Centre Directorship. I don't have too much. The chair of directors may add more, but we're just struggling on and hope that we can reopen completely soon. So thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Thanks so much, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'd just like to confirm what Dennis just said, that the Charlesborough Centre is very much alive and kicking. I think the appointment of the new CEO has proved to be an absolutely huge success so far. The shop you know about from the comments earlier just before the meeting. The centre hopes to reopen for a lot of business on the 12th of April, so that's very encouraging. That date is finally getting round to us. And as has just been said, it's great to have Sam Chapman-Allen, the leader of Beckland, as a new member of the Board of Trustees. So I feel we can report, despite COVID, a very satisfactory situation. Thanks.
Thank you. Jenny, your hand's up. Did you have a comment?
No, sorry, I'll try and take it down.
Oh, thank you. Right. Mark? Are you still with us, Mark? Hi, Mark. I'll come back to Mark and offer him another opportunity. Stuart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've not had a meeting of the Energy Power Resources, making something to report there. The Thetford Tourism Heritage Partnership, the Mayor and I tried to engage last summer with a couple of meetings to try and kick that off. And the chair is Oliver Bone at the Ancient House, and he's rather preoccupied with his work with Ancient House and King's Lynn Museum. But I think, following on from our earlier conversation about partnership working, I do think this is something we do need to embrace and get all bodies to work together. And it's proving a little difficult to take that forward at the moment. And if you may indulge me, Mr. Mayor, just to make members aware that we are looking, the Dad's Army Museum, looking to open on the 29th of May. And in 2022, one of our volunteers is trying to organise a charity event at Euston Hall on the 9th of July, which will benefit the East Anglian Children's Hospice, the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund and the Dad's Army Museum. And he has asked whether the Town Council will be supportive of this event and be able to provide anything. The Town Clerk has indicated that you may be able to supply some gazebos or marquee, but it's something, if anybody wants further information, please give me a contact. And hopefully as a Town Council, we can be as part of that event and promote ourselves and Thetford as part of that event, which looks to be quite a good fundraiser for those chosen causes. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not actually a Town Council rep on any outside bodies, so nothing to report on this one.
Thank you. Well, I'm just going to close that item out then, colleagues, and I'm going to move on to item 892/20, which is reports from county and district councillors. I'll start with your good self, Terry, if that's okay.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I did manage to circulate something in writing to Chris Crimmin in advance. A couple of things just to share. usual sort of list of meetings and that sort of thing, which are not terribly exciting. A couple of things that probably will be of interest. We'll all be aware of the new pathway that's going in along Croxton Road. They're a little bit behind, but what's gone in so far, I've been in and had a look several times, and I'm sort of pleased with the work that's taking place. Whatever we might think about the inadequacies of the path, what is actually going in will make a big difference, even if it's not for the entire section of the route. But I'm always an optimist, and I'm pleased with what's going in. I'm also really pleased with the news about the investment by Green King in the Terrier pub. And as I stood in the car park outside Croxton Shops there, I couldn't help but notice the sort of not great state, shall we say, of the car park and the shrub areas. And there's 4 globe lights in the car park, one of which is completely missing and faulty. I had a hunch that it'd be a Norfolk County Council car park, but I was proven wrong, and it's actually a Breckland Council car park. So I'll have a chat with you, Mr. Mayor, and Stuart Terry about that and how we might better work together. It just seems obvious if the pathway's being improved and the pub's being improved, let's try and get the whole area looking decent. So I've been doing a bit of work on that. Some good news with Flagship Housing of late. They've really upped their game the last few months, and Chris Harvey and I, particularly in Borough Ward, we send them regular bits of casework. If we identify areas that Flagship owns, garages, people's front gardens, that sort of thing, they deal with them really promptly, which is really encouraging. As a county councillor, I wrote to the... Sorry?
I gave you one, didn't I? Mm-hmm. And then I found a red
Mark,
sticker.
Councillor Taylor. Councillor Taylor, can you?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Councillor Taylor, can you mute your camera, please?
Who was the girl or the lady that comes?
Councillor Taylor. Thank you, Mark. Sorry, Terry, for the interruption.
You're quite all right. I thought I'd click something on the computer. So yeah, 2 things. As a county councillor, I wrote to the Breckland Council Planning Committee about the A11 drive-through planning application, and I wrote in support of that, and that was approved by the Planning Committee at Breckland. And I also wrote to Suffolk County Council about the quarry proposal, which obviously we'll all be aware of as county councillors. And I was really pleased to see the number of objections from councillors and particularly from residents objecting to that quarry. And that's continuing to go through the planning system at Suffolk County Council. The last thing I'd mention is Jane spoke about the Greater Thetford Partnership and their website and the section on there for blog posts. I was really pleased to be invited to write a blog for the website, and so I wrote something specifically around the river and how it's important that through partnership working we can improve the river corridor in Thetford. So I'll pop the link to that in the chat. So if any members want to have a read, you can do so. But that's on the GTP website now. If people want to have a look.
Jenny, you've got your hand up.
I have, Mr. Mayor, thank you. It's for Councillor Jeremy. The cycle path up the Croxton Road, besides it causing havoc for the residents, is neither here or there. But I've noticed that they haven't put some of the drop curbs back for people to get into their car parking places. So that's going to be a bit of an issue once they've finished in that area for the residents that live on that corner. And the second bit is the car park in front of the shops. I can remember I've been sitting in the chair now coming up 6 years. I can remember back in 2015, 2016, contacting Breckland over the lights and the state of the car park. Breckland own it, but it's leased to a developer who owns the shops, has the shops. The light's been broken for God knows how many years, and it turns out the actual switch on switch for them lights is actually in the Terrier pub itself. And if the landlord at that time didn't want to switch the lights on, which they didn't, because the shops weren't quite prepared, and this has come from the shop tenants, weren't prepared to pay for the towards the electricity board. So if you can get them up and working, I'd say I tried 2015, 16, 17 even, and had no luck. And that's how I found out that it's actually a privately owned, it's leased from Breckland. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for that. I'm just going to move on to our next district councillor, Mike.
Sorry, I've just said I'm content with what I'm hearing from others, so nothing from me, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I mean, most of my stuff has been finished by Mr. James now. The only thing I would say, I mean, I reiterate the flagship issue of how efficient they are. I reported an issue in the morning. Friday afternoon, the resident had received a phone call to sort the problem out, which is really good service. And also, we might yet again praise to the enforcement team over the fly tipping, you know, with the recent court cases they've brought. And just watch his space for a big one shortly.
Thank you, Chris. Brenda, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I have, Mr. Mayor. It's just to notify you, councillors, in case some of you don't know, that parts of Thetford, I know my area and Jenny is, we now come under Suffolk Housing and not Flagship Housing Group. So and tenants need to take that number down when they're sent their letter. So just be aware that we are now under Suffolk Housing.
Thank you. If you could share that detail with us, Brenda, that'd be brilliant. Thank you. And that moves me on to James.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Chris.
No, I'm sorry. Carry on. I was going to remind you there are two.
Chris, I've got them on my radar, mate. Thank you. I'm going to go to Jane next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the recent Breckland full council meeting held on the 25th of February, just to update you all, I was appointed to the Thetford Youth Action Group. It's obviously due to my youthful good looks. This is actually part of the Youth Advisory Board, and there has been what's now called a YAG set up in each of the Breckland market towns, and I'm delighted to be able to support this. Those of you who know me know that I've been involved in the scouting movement and supporting the junior netball as well as the senior netball in the past. So this feels like a good fit. So I'm grateful for that appointment. I have also been appointed as Breckland's representative on the Charles Burrell Museum Trust, and I attended my first meeting along with some of the other trustees on the 10th of March. Like so many other volunteer-driven organisations, the pandemic has presented some very challenging circumstances, and I'd like to thank my predecessor for Breckland on there, Roy Brain, for all his hard work with the museum, and I look forward to doing my bit in supporting this jewel in Thetford's crown. I've already covered the lighting along Spring Walk, which is obviously funded through the Market Town Initiative by Breckland, but I'm also delighted to advise that works are underway cleaning Riverside Walk, specifically that lower tier which flooded between Christmas and New Year, and I pledged publicly to nag people until it had gotten done. It's getting done. I also understand that more work is taking place cleaning the paths on Button Island in readiness for the further lifting of restrictions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Stuart, you put your hand up.
Yeah, just to ask Councillor James regarding the Burrell Museum. Obviously, I have asked Councillor Brain this in the past about the possible funding that Ros Barnett identified with Historic England for repair of the doors. It was last we spoke about, it was pending a freeing of Breckland monies to draw down that Historic England money for those doors. I know there's a little progress going on with some of the smaller doors that have been earmarked to funding, but I'm very conscious not to lose sight of the historic England money that may be there to help with the long overdue refurbishment of the doors there. I don't know whether Councillor James is up to speed with that yet, but I'm sure she will be in due course if she doesn't know at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Swiftly reading and absorbing, and Mark, the chairperson with the trustees, has kindly sent me a myriad of information. I know Councillor Brain was working very, very hard. I have seen an email come in today which mentions funding and a successful funding for the funding bid for the museum, but I haven't read the details, so I'm not going to share it because I don't want to get anybody's hopes up when I don't know the detail yet, but I haven't finished reading that. But fingers crossed there's good news on the horizon.
Thank you.
Brenda.
Yeah, if I just like a quick word to Jane. Jane, I didn't get a message about that email. So have they switched me off because they've switched Roy off of the emails? Could you ask Janet, please?
I can look at them now for you and we'll message you externally of this meeting. But yeah, as far as they're concerned, you are still part of the team, Brenda.
Oh, well, they never sent me an invite to the meeting.
Oh, Brenda. I will, yeah.
Email Janet for me.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. We have two colleagues with us tonight that are district representatives, but not town representatives. We have Councillor Dowling and Councillor Terry. I'm going to take Councillor Dowling first for a district report. Over to you, Susan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to say that although COVID restrictions are lifting, there are still many people who remain quite isolated. So I've been continuing my welfare calls for those who request this service. And I'd also like to say what a brilliant rollout the vaccination programme has had. And I've had lots of comments about the efficiency and kindness of staff and volunteers in the area, and it has been an amazing effort. I've been continuing to support the Athena project, which has started a crowdfunding project to raise funds, and the objective of the project is to deliver an intensive programme to 5 to 7-year-old children, and it's designed to provide them with real life experiences of money management and to enable them to become familiar with how money is used in daily transactions. And the group will include children with complex behavioural issues and special needs, and those at risk of permanent exclusion from school. So it's, I think it's a brilliant project. There's been lots of issues with fly tipping in different areas, and I've investigated the land between Wheatakers and Vicarage Road, and this is actually private land that was adopted by the previous residents many years ago, but it's now become a kind of a dumping ground basically between those two roads, and the land is not actually owned by Breckland, but they have assured me that they will send letters out to all the residents explaining the situation on both sides of the road, so that's the Wheatakers and Vicarage Road, and offer some suggestions about how to proceed. That one of the suggestions is really that they club together and get a private contractor to remove some of the rubbish, because there's quite a few households there. In the community, the open gardens are still continuing to raise funds, and they were all very pleased to receive letters from the Lord Lieutenant of Norfolk. And the fundraising will continue this year with selling plants and such like, and cakes and so on, even though we probably won't be able to open gardens as we usually do, but I think smaller events are being planned. And so that's all I've got to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Councillor Taylor. Mark, you've got your hand up. Hi, Mark.
Got on a tea break.
Are you there, Mark? Okay, well, hopefully we'll get Mark back. I'm going to ask Councillor Stuart Terry to provide a report. Stuart? Do we have Councillor Terry with us? I'm sure I see him in the chat earlier.
He's muted.
Stuart, can you unmute?
There you go. Yeah, you can hear me now. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things. Recently, I attended a webinar with the St Giles Trust. The St Giles Trust is commissioned by the Norfolk Police and the Crime Commissioner. They're working through the SOS service in schools to raise awareness of issues surrounding crime and serious violence. This work equips young people with the knowledge and the tools to stay safe and make positive choices. The professionally trained staff with lived experiences of the criminal justice system expose the realities and de-glamorise some of the myths around getting involved in crime and helping young people stay motivated on a positive path. Now, Breckland are keen to work with St Giles Trust, which is, on the basis of county lines that are creeping into Thetford at a horrific rate, and hopefully we can get some things sorted out on that front. Secondly, on the success of the Norwich Road Residents Association's litter pick, which I sort of volunteer every once a Saturday a month, the Woodlands area of Thetford now are organising litter picks. That will commence on the 10th of April, and they're going to do litter pick every 6 weeks, which incorporates the wooded land down to the railway line and up to Joe Blunt's Lane. Finally, a couple of weeks ago, most of the Breckland councillors attended a meeting with, I think it was Steve James, regarding the 3G football pitch proposed to move into Thetford. It's actually been put on hold now, so hockey will remain in the town for the time being, owing to the fact that there's no suitable replacement for the hockey club. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you all. And that just leaves me to conclude, colleagues. So most of my colleagues, you will be aware, but this is just for our public audience, that Breckland are running a campaign to target vehicles which have been abandoned. The latest investigation saw a resident from Thetford fined £200 for abandoning their vehicle at the leisure centre. It had been there since September of last year. The owner failed to respond to correspondence, and the enforcement officers carried out a swift investigation, tracked down the owner to a set address, removed the abandoned vehicle from the car park, and they were subsequently issued with a fixed penalty notice of £200. They've also launched an innovative programme to support young carers in the district, and this is all part of the vulnerability programme. The My Future Social is currently a programme of online events. It's aimed at helping build confidence, develop the aspirations and personal development for young carers between the ages of 16 and 24. Across the district, there is just shy of 1,000 young people in these circumstances, and they often, due to those circumstances, are classified as NEETs, neither employment or educational training. Being a young carer, it often means they look after a family member who is ill, or helping them by looking after other members of the family while they can't. So there is a recognised need for supporting young carers to miss out on the opportunities that are available to others. And the project aims to provide social connection, access to help and support to protect them.
Mark, you're muted.
Thank you. So I'm not quite sure quite how much you got of that, but I shall soldier on regardless. Thank you, Chris. So Council has launched a £2 million programme of support to help businesses recover from the impacts of coronavirus pandemic. It's called the Springback Package. It includes new grant funding to meet challenges. The suite of support has been informed by feedback from over 500 Breckland businesses, and it brings together a range of funding and support from both District Council and central government. The support that includes a shop front improvement scheme, which makes funding available to businesses wanting to make improvements and enhancements to their shop frontage. So that could be from a lick of paint through to a completely replaced frontage. There's COVID safe and adaptation grants worth up to £5,000 to help businesses invest in equipment which enables them to trade safely. There's also a streamlined payment licence application process to help businesses, support businesses create outdoor seating areas where appropriate, encourage social distancing and COVID safe practices. For prospective businesses, there is an expanded enterprise and startup scheme, and this provides funding and advice for people looking to launch their new business in the district. An earlier version of the scheme has already helped 10 businesses get off the ground in the first months of the year, and it's hoped that we could be able to help dozens more going forward. COVID officers are on hand 6 days a week to provide advice about safe shopping, social distancing. And a new COVID safe scheme will be rolled out to recognise businesses which have taken significant steps to keep their staff and customers safe, which will see them listed on the council's website and awarded a sticker to display in their shop window. All the details and the information around the grants, the support and advice are available on the business support pages on the website. And finally, you can now contact the District Council via video call. There's a video calls appointment system, and given the experience we've had over the last 12 months, more and more people are engaging and reaching out virtually, and it enables people to reach out and contact council, and it also builds on the existing methods of contact, which is phone calls, emails, web chat and online form. And that concludes my report. Thank you. And I can see I've got 2 hands up. I have Councillor Callum and then Councillor Taylor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, yeah, it is me. Yeah, I thought someone was talking. Sorry. Yeah, I'll just say thank you for your report, because one thing that I always think of is we all say what we're doing, but not what then councils are doing. And you have just said what Breckland is actually doing rather than what you are doing. So thank you for that.
That's all right. The cape's in the wash, Brenda. Mark.
Yes, I tried this the other day, but I'll try again. Is Breckland Council aware that you cannot keep people out of a shop who are exempt of face covering? Is the council aware of that? And if they are aware of that, can they try and change their paperwork and signage? I've been around all the shops infected to explain this, and I did have a good meeting with the managers. More people infected would come out and shop if they weren't scared away by the signage. It should have on them that you're okay if you're exempt, and presently it does not. We'd get more footfall into the town and more money in the shopkeepers' pockets. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Mark.
What's the answer?
You want an answer? Okay. Well, as I stated to you the other day, the shops are following government guidance.
Government guidance is unless exempt. Now, most of the signage in the town, a lot of them does not have exempt on. Now, if it had exempt, it would I'm saying this again, I'm sorry to repeat myself, it would encourage the people who are exempt to come out. And I think a little bit of help from Breckland Council to that signage to get people out, more footfall, more money in pockets, unless I'm speaking double Dutch. Thank you.
Take your comments on board, Mark. I must be speaking to different shop owners, because I find that a lot of residents are taking confidence from shops adhering to the government guidance. So I take your point on board. They are following government guidance, Mark. But I will take your comment on board and I will feed it back.
This is the last thing I'm going to say, Mr. Chairman. Are you aware that people are exempt? Are you personally aware that there's an exemption for some people?
Yes, they tend to wear lanyards, don't they, Mark?
No, that's against the law. You're being out of order now, Mr. Chairman. You must know what the law is.
Okay, Mark. I've been here once before with you. I've taken your comments on board, Mark. Thank you.
Can you get me the proper lawful answer rather than your opinion? I would like that for the record. I need your answer on exactly what the law is rather than your opinion, Mr. Chairman. Can you do that?
Well, Mark, you have to excuse me, but like you, we do have something in common. I didn't do 7 years at law school, so you're expecting me to state a point of law. You're not going to get it. I've given you an answer. Obviously, it's not the one you want. It won't go any further than that, Mark. And I'm going to move the item on whether you like it or not.
I think it's awfully embarrassing to see the chairman of the council being ignorant. And that's why I did accuse you of talking bollocks the other day.
Only for that kind of language.
Okay, I'm going to remind you again, Councillor Taylor, standing orders. Standing orders 2, paragraphs A, B and C. Disorderly conduct at meetings. 2A, no person shall obstruct the transaction of business at a meeting or behave offensively and improperly. If this standing order is ignored, the chair of the meeting shall request such persons to moderate or improve their conduct. At this point, Mark, I ask you to behave in a manner befitting an elected member rather than the language that you continue to conduct yourself in. So at this point, I'm asking you to moderate and improve your conduct. And hopefully you'll also stay for the full term of the meeting for a change. And I'm going to move the item on. As I fully expect you're going to disappear in a moment like you normally do. So I'm going to close that item, colleagues, unless anybody else has any further comments. And I'm going to move on to item 893/20. And this is town council representatives and other bodies. And this is to discuss how we go forward with councils to serve on other bodies for the mayoral year 2021-22. And at this point, I'm going to hand over to the town clerk to take this item through.
So, councillors, just while I prepare my list. Oh, Chris actually has the list for me. So thank you very much. So this is the list of people that we put through onto mayor making, because it is at our annual meeting that we have to list who all our representatives on outside bodies would be. I think probably the easiest way to go through it is to read out who the bodies are, and if people want to be on that, and if more than one person wants to be on it, then we will have a vote for it.
Tina, just before you go any further, I just want Chris Crimmins to note Councillor Taylor's left the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, I think, sorry, Brenda, you've got your hand up.
Oh, have I?
Are you saying you'd like that position?
Yeah, I will stay anyway, if nobody else wants to.
Okay.
Tina, with colleagues' permission, can I suggest a way of expediting this item? Is maybe to say, do councillors wish to make any change on the current membership of these outside bodies, and just identify those, and then we can move it on. If there isn't, we can move on block. Just a suggestion just my suggestion. It's open to
yeah. So if
colleagues' agreement.
So if we can ask if there are any councillors who are currently not in these positions who would like to be considered for any of them.
Brenda, you have your hand up.
I'm now going to take it down. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so in that case, could I ask then, please, for people to indicate that they are happy for the current representatives to remain as representatives next year?
Would you like this as a recommendation, Tina?
I don't think it has to be an official decision, but if people could just indicate that, so it gives anybody the chance to say, no, I want to be whatever, the last chance.
I can see Jenny's got her hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The almshouses, sorry, I can't remember the term of it. It's got my name on it, but as I said, explained before, we're not, they're not, yeah, except for Miss Jones. They've only got one member for Councillor Cannon's the only member now because they've allocated all the other places only need the one councillor. So really my name needs to be taken off of that, please.
So Mr. Crimman, could you make sure that amendment's done for the mayor making pack? Oh look, as we speak.
And he's doing it as we speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Tina, does that mean we're looking for another member to join Brenda?
No,
No,
what I'm saying is there's only one member now, not two.
Oh, okay, thank you.
We've got some agreed in the chats, so and some more agreeds coming.
Councillor Burnett agrees.
Okay.
Yeah, Councillor Crawford agrees.
Councillor Brindle agreed.
Yeah, oh, in a flurry. Okay, I don't know if it's because my internet keeps dropping in and out. I know Joe's has just dropped out as well, so they might be coming up slow in mine. But I think we've got a good round of agreement there. I think the only people we're missing is maybe Terry and Jane. Okay, I think we're all there then. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. So it's as was. Great stuff. Thank you. Item 894/20 is community engagement, and this is discuss and agree any consultation on media release required. I'm going to open that out to colleagues. Is there anything you would like to wish for? Jenny, I can see your hand up. Is that historical or you have a comment?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
It's historical. Thank you.
Yes, sorry.
It seems we're collectively having IT issues this evening. Is there anything colleagues will wish to go forward? For my part, it might be a good piece actually as we're moving through the steps and we're returning to some sort of normality, that we issue a statement supporting our community going forward. I probably haven't phrased that as well as I would like. I kind of stunned you all into silence, colleagues.
I think Mr. Mayor, if you want to sort of speak to me after the meeting, then we can come up with something and circulate it, and then all the councillors will have an opportunity to add to that statement. And because remembering we're in Purda, we have to be a little careful about what we put out during this time.
Brilliant. I'll pick that.
But I think that if we start it off, we can involve everybody in making sure that we formulate a statement that is everybody's happy with.
Great. I'll pick that up with you offline if colleagues are okay with that over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Thank you. Item 895/20 committee office update. Is there anything that's been arisen since the issue of the agenda, Tina?
I think only that we're working on how we're going to do our meetings moving forward. Currently, virtual meetings will be stopped after the 6th of May, apart from internal meetings that are not open to the public. And we are hoping that we can have a kind of live mayor making, but it's a watching brief really. And there is a High Court request from one of the big district councils to make sure that virtual meetings can actually stay. So we're planning for it being live, but on the understanding that that may change. So bear with us.
Thank you. Your update is, I know you've been briefing us all the way through, so that's great. Thank you. Item 896/20. This is the exclusion of press and public. To consider resolving that pursuant to the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, the press and public be excluded for any remaining items of business on the grounds that publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business to be discussed. At this point, I will exclude the press and public, wish them well,